Welcome back to the deep dive. Tonight we're gonna shift gears a little bit.
Yeah, definitely shifting gears.
I want you to imagine just for a second that we are sitting around a campfire. It's late at night, the fire's crackling, the shadows are getting
Oh,
long.
I like that vibe.
Right. And we're settling in for a story that sits right at uh, that weird intersection of the spooky, the profound, and honestly, the unintentionally hilarious.
He really is funny.
We are aiming for a vibe tonight that is relaxed, maybe a little chilling, but ultimately mind-expanding. So pull up a log.
It is the absolute perfect setting for the material we have in front of us because we are looking at a very specific slice of history today.
Exactly.
This isn't one of those broad overviews of abstract philosophy. This is a microscopic look at a single evening. A single vision, really, that completely upends how we understand creativity and time itself.
It's massive. But before we get into the ghost stories and the time travel theories and all of that, we need to get the housekeeping out of the way.
Always gotta do the housekeeping.
Yep. I want to explicitly declare that this deep dive is distributed free of charge on all major platforms for educational purposes.
Free education, that's the goal.
Our goal here is to learn, to explore, and to share this information freely with you.
That is right. And the source of our exploration today, the text we are diving into, is the Seth material.
The classic.
Specifically, we are cracking open the early sessions, Book 8, and we are zooming all the way in on session 383.
Let's set the scene for that. The date of record is Wednesday, November 29, 1967.
1967.
Yeah, so we are in the late 60s. The counterculture is swirling outside. Everything is changing. But inside this apartment in Elmira, New York, Rob and Jane are dealing with something very, very specific.
It's very isolated from the cultural noise, yeah.
And our mission for this deep dive is to explore the nature of creativity, the concept of time, specifically this wild idea of future memories, and how those heavy abstract concepts play out through the lens of a very specific, slightly spooky, and actually kind of funny event.
An event involving a coat?
A coat. It always comes down to wardrobe, doesn't it?
Surprisingly often in these sessions, yes. But this isn't just about fashion, you know. It's about how we perceive reality at its core.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with what we're calling the vision of the man in the black coat, which sounds exactly like a Victorian ghost story.
It really does.
But it actually happened to Rob, Jane's husband, just sitting in their apartment.
Right. And to understand the weight of this, we really have to look at Rob's perspective on that specific day. It's the day before the session, so November 28, 1967.
The day before.
Yes. Rob is an artist. He's a painter. He is in his studio, which is located at the back of their apartment. He is just doing his thing, working, maybe sketching, totally mundane Tuesday afternoon kind of stuff.
And suddenly he has a vision.
Boom. Out of nowhere.
Now, when we say vision, I think a lot of people imagine like a burning bush or the sky opening up with angel choirs.
Right. Something biblical.
Yeah, but this was different. It was very concrete, very specific. He sees a painting. But here's the kicker. It is a painting he hasn't painted yet.
Precisely. And the details are incredible. He recognizes the subject of the painting immediately. It's a portrait of their friend, Bill Gallagher.
Bill Gallagher.
Yeah. And Rob describes it as life-size, full face, from the knees up. Like he's seeing the exact framing of the canvas.
I love the visual details Rob recorded about this. He is a trained observer, being a painter. He notes that in this vision painting, Bill is wearing a long, dark coat with a hood.
A dark coat with a hood. That detail is absolutely crucial. Hold on to that.
Okay. Pinning the coat to the bulletin board.
Hmm.
So Bill is in this hooded coat, and the background of the painting isn't just a living room or a landscape. Rob sees stylized pyramid shapes in bright colors.
Abstract stuff.
Yeah, and he even specifies the medium he thinks it's painted in. He thinks it looks like tempera or maybe acrylics.
Which is such an artist thing to notice during a mystical vision.
Totally.
Oh.
Is that acrylic?
Exactly. And it wasn't a static image either. It wasn't like looking at a photograph. Rob describes it as having an animation to it. He sees Bill's hair blowing in a wind.
A wind inside the painting.
Yes, it's alive. The painting is moving.
That is the part that gave me actual goosebumps when I was reading the source material. It's like a GIF before GIFs even existed.
A magical portrait, basically.
But there was one detail that Rob mentioned that I found really odd, and it speaks to the glitch in the matrix feel of this whole thing. He didn't just see the image of Bill floating in the air. He saw the vision as a framed object.
Yes. That is the weirdest part.
He says it was cocked at an odd angle to the floor, as if it were being propped up by invisible hands right there in his studio.
Right. It suggests a literal breach between realities. Rob is seeing an object that exists elsewhere, or else when leaking into his current physical space.
It's physicalized.
Exactly. He even mentions that when he realized what he was seeing, he tried to stare at it to keep it there. He tried to prolong its existence with his focus.
Which is such a human reaction, right? Like, don't blink, it might disappear.
We've all done that with a good dream.
But as soon as he tried to force it, as soon as his conscious mind clamped down on it, it faded. So he does what any good artist does. He sketches it out, dekes the sketch, and tells Jane.
Because he's hoping Seth will talk about it in the next session.
He wants answers.
Now, here is the reality check. This is where the story shifts from interesting hallucination to actually chilling.
The chilling moment. I love this part.
So a few days pass. It's December 2nd now. The Gallagher's, Bill and his wife, they come over to visit Rob and Jane. Just a completely normal, mundane social call.
And Rob hadn't mentioned the vision to them, right?
No, not at all. He specifically asked Jane to keep quiet about it because he wanted to see if anything happened naturally. He didn't want to contaminate the experiment.
Science.
Yeah.
I like it. So they hang out, they have coffee or whatever you do in Elmira in 1967. And then the Gallaghers get up to leave. Bill Gallagher puts on his coat to walk out the door. And Rob just freezes.
Freezes solid. Because as Bill walks down the hall, Rob sees it. Bill is wearing a long black coat with a hood.
Identical to the vision from days ago.
Identical in every way. And here's the key fact that makes this a legitimate phenomenon and not just a lucky guess. Rob had absolutely no prior knowledge of this coat.
None at all.
He didn't know Bill had bought it. He had never seen it in Bill's wardrobe before. It was a completely new variable.
That is the big aha moment. It's also kind of funny, in a way, if you think about it.
How so?
Well, you spend days obsessing over this mystical vision of a painting, right? You're trying to analyze the deep spiritual symbolism of the pyramids and the blowing wind, and then your friend just walks in wearing the new coat he got on sale at Macy's.
It really does create this fantastic tension between the mystical and the mundane. You are seeing a ghost of a painting, but the ghost is wearing real, off-the-rack fashion.
Exactly. So naturally in the session, on November 29th, the one we're looking at, Seth addresses this. Rudd is dying to know what happened. He's probably thinking, was it a premonition? Was it telepathy? Did I read Bill's mind about his new coat?
And Seth's analysis here is fascinating because he completely flips the script on how we usually view time. Seth confirms straight up that the vision was a glimpse of a future work.
A future work. But then comes the twist.
Right. Because we usually think of a future work as something that will exist, something we are going to create eventually. Seth says no. He says it wasn't a prediction of what Rob will do. It was a peek at a reality that already exists.
Okay, let me read the quote here from the source because it literally stopped me in my tracks. Seth says, quote, "The painting exists, and in one reality you have already completed it," unquote.
In one reality, you have already completed it. That sentence does so much heavy lifting.
It's massive.
It implies that our creative works, whatever they are, aren't things we build from scratch in a linear timeline, brick by brick. They are things that are already finished in a broader reality. And our job down here is just to catch up to them.
It changes the entire definition of an idea, doesn't it?
Completely.
We normally think an idea is the start of something, the seed. Seth is saying the idea is actually the echo of the finished thing.
The echo of the finished thing. That's a great way to put it. Seth explains that Rob is just waiting for the developments to occur in physical time.
Waiting for the clock to tick down.
Exactly. The whole self, which is Seth's term for the part of us that exists outside of linear time, the multidimensional self, that self has already painted the portrait. Rob, the physical guy with the brushes, is just the mechanism for bringing it into the specific physical timeline.
But Seth also mentions that the vision had distortions.
Right.
Remember the odd angle to the floor? And the invisible hands propping it up.
Yes. Seth notes that these distortions happened because Rob was interpreting this multidimensional data through his current limited physical knowledge.
It really reminds me of trying to download a huge high-resolution file on really bad Wi-Fi.
Oh, that's perfect.
You know, you get the image, the core data is there, but it's pixelated.
Yeah.
Or it loads funny on your screen.
That is a brilliant analogy. Rob's physical brain is the modem. The whole self is the server with the perfect uncorrupted file. Rob is downloading the Bill Gallagher portrait. But because his bandwidth, his conscious understanding is limited to right now, the image comes through tilted. or with stylized pyramid backgrounds that might actually represent the energy of the painting rather than literal tempera paint.
I love that. It makes the spooky stuff feel very technical, almost mechanical in a way. It's just data transfer issues between realities.
And speaking of mechanics, this leads us right into the books Rob was reading at the time, which is another fascinating layer to this deep dive because this isn't just about ghosts or precognition, it's about self-help and psychology.
Right, because Rob mentions in his notes that he is reading Maxwell Maltz's Psycho-Cybernetics.
Yes.
Now, for you listening who might not know, Psycho-Cybernetics was huge.
Massive bestseller.
It was basically the Atomic Habits of the 1960s. It was all about visualization, reprogramming your self-image, steering your mind like a machine.
It was a truly seminal book for that era. And it's so interesting to see Seth, a disembodied entity speaking through Jane, doing a book review of a self-help bestseller.
And he actually gives it a pretty solid review. What did Seth think of it?
He validates it for the most part. He says Maltz hit upon excellent methods. He acknowledges that the techniques in the book, like visualizing success to create actual success in your life, are practical and they do work.
Well, there's always a but with Seth, isn't there?
There is always a but. The caveat here is that Seth says the author misses the deeper spiritual mechanics behind why the methods work.
Underlying engine.
Right. Maltz explains the surface level. You visualize a goal, your subconscious acts like a servo mechanism and executes it. Seth steps in and explains the actual physics of why it works on a reality creation level.
And that why goes all the way back to that concept of the whole self we were just talking about.
Yes. Seth explains that paintings, and by extension, any creative ideas, whether it's a business plan, a novel, a new invention, whatever, they exist as potential forms created by the whole self.
Potential forms. So they are just floating out there in the ether, like clouds.
Not just floating randomly. This is the part that I think every artist, or really any creator listening to this, needs to hear and internalize. Seth says these potential forms are tuned specifically to you.
Okay, I have the exact quote from the transcript here. Seth says, quote, "They are attuned to you, and only your particular individuality is equipped to pick them up," unquote.
That is profound. Only your individuality is equipped.
It's a massive relief. I mean, I think every creative person has that underlying fear. The whole, if I don't write this story right now, someone else will.
Oh, absolutely. The scarcity mindset.
Yeah. Or, I have this great idea for a business, but I'm afraid to talk about it with anyone because someone is going to steal it.
And Seth is saying that is literally mechanically impossible.
Impossible.
No one else has the internal receiver to pick up your specific frequency. They can't steal your painting from the cosmic energy because they aren't you. They don't have your antenna.
So if I have an idea for, I don't know, a podcast about underwater basket weaving in the 17th century.
It's a very niche market.
Very niche. But that idea exists in my personal potential field. If I don't do it, it won't get done.
Right. Or someone else might do a version of an underwater basket weaving show, but it won't be your version. It won't have your resonance. It won't carry your specific inner ground.
That puts a completely different spin on things like writer's block or procrastination, doesn't it?
Completely. Seth redefines failure in this session. It's striking. He basically says, failure is simply refusing to open the channel to materialize what already exists.
Oof, that hits hard. So failure isn't trying something and messing it up. Failure is just keeping the door shut.
Right. You have the masterpiece on the server, and failure is just refusing to turn on the Wi-Fi. He says great artists are simply those who successfully materialize these pre-existing potential forms.
They turn the modem on.
Exactly. They are the ones with the best download speeds, to go back to your analogy. They trust the signal and they let it through without blocking it with their own conscious doubts.
There's another layer to this universal connection that Seth talks about here. He says that when an artist is true to their unique self, the art contains an inner ground of being.
The inner ground of being. This completely answers the question of why we cry at a song written by someone we've never even met, or why a painting from 500 years ago can still resonate and make us feel something today.
Because it's not just about the technical brushstrokes.
No, not at all. It's because the artist tapped into their unique whole self, which at its root is connected to the universal energy that we all share. When they are fiercely authentic to that private, individual frequency, they inadvertently tap into the universal frequency.
So paradoxically, the more specific and personal you get with your art, the more universal the appeal becomes.
Exactly. Strangers recognize the validity of that inner ground. They feel the truth of it ringing in their own bones, even if the style of the art is highly individual or culturally distant from them.
That is beautiful. It makes creativity feel less like a stressful performance and more like an act of, I don't know, translation.
Translation, yeah. Or excavation, you are uncovering what is already there under the dirt.
Now, speaking of the universe winking at us and uncovering things, we have to talk about the subplot of this session.
The subplot.
Because we have the man in black coat on one hand, but we also have what I'm calling the synchronicity of Pell and Fell.
This is where the humor of the Seth material really comes in. It's like the universe is making bad puns just to see if we're paying attention.
So Jen has a manuscript. It's a book of poetry she wrote called High, Low, and Psycho, which is a great title, by the way.
Very 60s, very evocative.
Very. And she is trying to get it published. Now, in a previous session, Seth had given her a tip. He told her to send the manuscript to a publisher, starting with the letter L or V.
Which, you have to admit, is pretty specific advice from a multi-dimensional spirit guide. Usually, channeled entities say things like, look to the light or follow your heart, not look to the middle of the alphabet.
Right, it's hilariously practical. So Jane goes on the hunt. She tries Viking Press, which is the only V she knows off the top of her head.
And they reject it.
Classic publishing. So she checks the L's in her directories, and she finds a publisher named Horace Liverwright, which is great because it contains both an L and a V. She thinks, bingo, this is the one.
But then the coincidences start piling up in the most absurd way. She looks at the mailing address for Horace Liverwright.
And it is 386 Park Avenue South in New York.
Which rings a bell for her.
It rings a very loud bell because it is the exact same building where Frederick Fell is located. And Frederick Fell is the publisher who put out her previous book, her ESP book.
So she is blindly sending this new poetry manuscript to the exact same physical building in Manhattan where her previous success lives, just based on a letter.
But wait, there's more. Because the universe isn't done joking around. She finds out the name of the editor at Liverwright who will be reading her book.
The editor's name is Pell.
Pell. And the other publisher downstairs is Fell. Pell and Fell. In the exact same building.
It's ridiculous. You couldn't write it in a script because people would say it's too unbelievable.
It sounds like an Abbott and Costello comedy routine. Who are you meeting with today? Oh, I'm seeing Pell. No, I thought you were with Fell. No, Pell is upstairs, Fell is downstairs.
Even Seth seems amused by this during the session. But he points out that these aren't just funny accidents. He calls them definite progress.
How so? How is a bad rhyme progress?
Because it represents a symbolic alignment in her reality. The fact that the names rhyme, the fact that the location is the exact same building, it shows that Jane's energy is on the right track. She's operating in the correct frequency.
Okay, I see.
Synchronicities like that, those weird, funny, impossible coincidences. Seth says they are often markers. They are signposts that you are aligned with your whole self. When the inner reality is humming smoothly, the outer reality starts organizing itself in these highly patterned, almost poetic ways.
It's the universe giving you a thumbs up. Or maybe just giggling at you.
Probably a bit of both. But it reinforces the core idea of the session, that reality isn't as solid and separate and random as we think it is. There are patterns running underneath the surface, connecting future coats to present paintings and Pell to Fell.
We should also touch on the atmosphere of the session itself, the physical environment, because all of this high-minded talk about art theory and multidimensional time is happening in a very grounded physical space.
Yes. The transcript includes these great little sensory details that Rob always meticulously records. Jane is channeling Seth, but her physical body is still very much reacting to the environment of the room.
Right. She complains that the room is too hot and stuffy.
Which, if you've ever been in a small, closed-up apartment in upstate New York in November with the radiator heat cranking, you can feel that heaviness. It gets oppressive.
And she actually has to stop mid-session. Seth comes through and says, "The room is too hot for our purposes."
And Jane has to come out of trance, take off her sweater, and kick off her shoes just to be comfortable enough to continue the transmission.
I just love that visual. Here's this multidimensional entity delivering profound truths about the fundamental nature of existence and time. But first, hang on, let me take my shoes off. It's boiling in here.
It completely grounds the material. It reminds us that this high-level information is coming through a vulnerable, temperature-sensitive human vessel. It's messy, it's sweaty, it's real. It's not happening on a mountaintop. It's happening next to a hot radiator.
And Seth is described in Rob's notes as being on a kick during this session. He's highly enthusiastic.
He loves this topic. You can really tell from the pacing of the words. He's not just lecturing them. He's excited for Rob. He's practically grabbing him by the shoulders and saying, look at what you can do. Look at this painting. It's right there waiting for you. You just have to grab it.
It's the ultimate creative pep talk from beyond.
It really is. It's empowering.
So where does this leave us? We have covered a lot of ground in the last hour.
We really have, from Elmira to the whole self and back again.
We've gone from a spooky, GIF-like vision of a hooded figure floating in a studio to a masterclass in the mechanics of creativity and time.
If we synthesize all of this, the main takeaway for me is a complete reframing of the creative process. It removes the burden of the blank page. We aren't creating from scratch. We are remembering.
We are tuning in.
Exactly. We are tuning in to things our whole self has already accomplished. The heavy lifting is done. The work is finished. The anxiety of creation can be replaced by the excitement of discovery. You're just uncovering what's yours.
And we have to keep our eyes open for the synchronicities along the way. The coats that match the visions, the names that rhyme in the same office building.
Those are the road signs. They tell us we are on the right path, that our modem is working properly.
Before we wrap up, I want to make sure we give credit where absolute credit is due. All of this material, all these quotes and concepts, comes from the Seth material, specifically the early sessions.
And we really need to thank the publisher, New Awareness Network, for keeping this incredible material available for all of us to study.
Absolutely. And listen, we are just scratching the surface here today. If you found this even remotely interesting, don't just take our word for it. Read the books for yourself.
Go to the source. There is so much more there.
You can find them at sethcenter.com/the-early-sessions. Or just search for it. It is a treasure trove of mind-bending stuff. Go get the books.
Read them slowly. Let the concepts sink in. They change how you see the world.
So here is our final provocative thought for you to carry into your week.
We talked heavily today about how Rob's painting already existed, finished, sitting in a future reality, waiting for him.
Right. It was already done.
So, listener, ask yourself this. If your greatest achievements, the book you want to write, the business you've been dreaming of starting, the life you want to build, if they already exist in a potential reality right now,
If they are already finished and sitting there,
what are you waiting for? The painting is already dry. You just have to pick up the brush to see it.
start painting. Thanks for diving deep with us.
Good night, everyone.